reading out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vine, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
And a very pleasant good Monday morning to you, wherever you might be here in the New River Valley and beyond, worldwide here on YouTube. How are you? I'm Rick. I'm your host. You realize we start week 5 of the new BDST on YouTube, and we'd love to hear from you. Hit us up on the BDST text line. I've already gotten many, many messages from the weekend. We'll get into that, and we'll get your comments. Hit us up also on the McClellan chat room. Get in there. Let's get your reaction. We won't beat around the bush. By the way, we have a really good show today. Jermaine Ferrell from WFXR. Mike Ashley, who's going to join us because he didn't have any internet over the weekend or Friday. So he's going to join us today, and I think we're going to get him on Friday as well. But there is your BDST. And by the way, Professional Door Incorporated in Dublin, BDST text line. We're going to talk about that here in just a little bit too. New sponsor to the program. So let's just get your reaction. We'll get into it. Take care of business here as we're broadcasting in our Family Fencing Studios in Reiner. Don't hold back. Give me your truth. Virginia Tech collapses in the second half. Just the small group I was watching the game with. I think I sat there for a while and just was kind of in a state of disbelief as the way that game turned around. We'll get into it and the potential ramifications of it. But thanks to Jason Green and all the folks at Family Fencing, and thank you that have reached out, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. We mentioned McClellan Chiropractic, Mark Hunley and the crew. Go see them if you're all twisted up and your back's all messed up or any other parts of your body. They've got machinery that takes care of you. I visited. It was really, really cool. Each and every week, we are presented by Pulaski County Sports Entertainment. Thanks to all those folks. Very honored about that. We're telling you about some real cool event that's coming up there soon. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. It's 47 this morning. So you might want to take heed of the word heating and go see Charles and company and get all that taken care of. National Bank, member FDIC, exclusive banking partner of BDST. Want to thank all those folks. And it's going to be interesting as well. Your BDST fan question of the week. I think I know what it's going to be. I think it's pretty easy. Now that Virginia Tech has started 0-2, what's your new win total outcome? All right. What do you think? What are you going to put down as your win total? Let me know. That'll be our attorney Ryan Pry, BDST fan question of the week. All right, let's get right into it. Hit us up in the chat room. 20-10 at halftime, and I'm looking around going, you know what? This is what I expected to see. This is kind of what I thought would happen. They got the field goal late. They handled the clock well, took momentum into the locker room. Vanderbilt was making all sorts of mistakes. There were lots of penalties. That crew seemed like they were wanting to work a little too hard to show they weren't going to be biased. They were an SEC crew. And Coach Leah was very upset. But they made mistakes. They were turning the ball over. Tech's first 2 touchdowns came courtesy of turnovers. So you're feeling pretty good. I saw Chris Coleman, who knows as much about X's and O's as anybody around, Tech sideline, say, you know what, that was a really strong first half. They did a great job. Good game plan. And that's what I was thinking. And you were probably thinking the same thing. And then after halftime happened, and I've gone back and I watched it some more, and I know what happened. We had one coaching staff who had the luxury of having the most experience of any team back from last year adjust his game planning on both sides of the ball without missing a beat. Diego Pavia never got rattled. That guy he's as cool a cat as you're going to find under center in college football. So they adjusted what they were doing, and they ended up just running right at the Virginia Tech defense. They ran for 262 yards, 7 yards per carry. 7 yards per carry. And Virginia Tech had no answers. They got steamrolled 34-0 after halftime. People were leaving at the end of the third quarter. They kept showing the crowd thinning out. Vanderbilt is a good team, a very experienced team, a team that has gained confidence due to the vibrato of their quarterback. But if you weren't in a state of seeing and thinking that change was going to happen in Blacksburg, well, welcome to the reality of 2025. Because they kept showing the sideline shots of Brent Pry, who I like a lot. A really good dude. But you could see that was a guy who kind of understood what this was, the gravity of this moment. Virginia Tech can't run the football. That's one thing that stands out. The offensive line has been horrible in both games. 3.7 yards per carry. Marcellus Hawkins has not looked like he's going to be remotely capable of replacing Bashal Tootin. And we said that before the season, right? Everybody was so optimistic about all these skill players. How do you replace Bashal Tootin and Jalen Lane and think you're going to be better at those positions? You're not. We kept hearing about the 5 offensive linemen, Coach Brooks, and everything was, they look great. You had to replace all 5. They haven't looked good in either game. They graded out extremely poorly against South Carolina. They're going to grade out. I haven't seen the numbers, but they have to be pretty poor again after Saturday night. And this was in Lane Stadium on a Saturday night. This wasn't in Nashville at 120 degrees. This was in Lane Stadium in a must-win situation, and you get boat race 34-0 in the second half. How can anyone sit over there in Blacksburg today and think, okay, well, it was just another loss. We're going to be okay. And they are favored to win the next 2 games. Although the spread opened up, I think, 11 points against Old Dominion. It's down to 7.5 this morning. Kyron Drones, very pedestrian. I won't put this on him this week because he had very little time, especially in the second half, to do anything. At least he didn't throw a pick. He did take a lot of sacks, but then again, sometimes he would snap the ball, take one step, and here comes everybody wearing a white jersey and a gold hat. 34-0. And then, I'm sorry, but you could tell midway through the fourth quarter, the team quit. The players quit. And then they bring in the backups, and they score a touchdown late. That game got flipped on its ear with a coaching staff that made unbelievable adjustments on both sides of the ball and a coaching staff that did not. The new coordinators, I thought, after watching South Carolina, especially on defense, Sam Sivkas, they adjusted. They did not adjust on Saturday. No adjustments from Sam Sivkas' defense. None. They couldn't tackle. They got blown off the ball. They weren't filling gaps. It was 20-10. The first touchdown of the second half. You had the tight end just running free down the sideline. And then once Vanderbilt jumped ahead, there was very little thought that Tech was going to be able to come back and win the game. No Tech wide receiver caught more than 2 balls. Cameron Seldon, the running back, he had 3. So where do you go from here? Well, you have to prep and you have to hope that your in-state rival, Old Dominion, doesn't all of a sudden pick something up from the game film. Big Al says in the chat room, we want to hear from you. No other word than debacle. Time to admit the Pry era was a failure. Thanks, Big Al. Jason says maybe 4 wins. Reggie, give it to us straight. Where does the program go, Reggie? And there's a lot of football left. You don't want to hear that. And I'm not going to sit here. The last thing I know that you want to hear is that there's a lot of football left. There is. And I'm going to ask these questions. Our guest at 8 o'clock is the former Virginia Tech place kicker, Chris Kinzer. And he still follows the program, and he was there when Tech got that bowl win, that first bowl win. It was his kick that won it. And we'll ask him that question. But you don't want to hear that. And I'm not going to sit here and go that way. There's going to be too many people spinning things over in Blacksburg talking about there are 10 games left and we haven't played a conference game, all of which is true. But that's not what fans are concerned about right now. I will say this, the vitriol, and if you checked it out or if you're a member, and if you're not, you should be, to Tech Sideline. The football message board, I think it was worse than the end of the Justin Fuente era. From those of you that were commenting after the game. I get called from Dwight Vick. He's been talking to other Tech players, and they are completely fed up. They are completely beside themselves. Just completely. And I can't say as I blame them at all. So we're going to get into all these things. And it's, let's get your comments. Let's get you in here and let's see what's going on. We want to welcome a new sponsor, as I mentioned, and very excited to welcome Professional Door Incorporated in Dublin, Travis Williams and the crew. They're all about garage doors, residential and commercial. They're the best in the business. It's getting wintertime, fall coming up, then winter. You want to make sure all that's secure and new if you have an older one. Located right there on Route 100 in Dublin, right across from New River Community College. Very easy. Right there. Easy access. And what's great about them, they're family-owned. Travis is a second-generation operator of Professional Door Incorporated. They've been in business 38 years. 38 years. And thank you, Travis. We welcome you as a sponsor here of BDST, the sponsor, by the way, of our text line that many of you have hit me up on. So welcome, Travis. Thank you so much. Comments that I got ranged from quitters. I'm just going to go through, paraphrase the text line. It blew up all weekend. Didn't have the chat room open for it to blow up. I almost went live Saturday night after the game. I was talking to Dwight, and I brought up the idea. He said, I just can't. He goes, I don't think I can right now, Rick. I'm just kidding. And he wasn't even, whether it was Macho Harris, who else was part of the whole thing, D'Angelo Hall, all these people that were talking, they're just at this point of, and I said the word, it's apathy. And now there's apathy around this program. You're going to go on Saturday. They'll probably end up announcing some miraculous sellout for Old Dominion. Nobody's going to believe it. And you're going to sit there. If they win, you're just going to go, yeah, well, it's Old Dominion. But you're going to go to that game now wondering, can we beat Old Dominion? That's what you're going to say if you're a Tech fan. Apathy has set in amongst the players who set the standard for this program into their greatest generation of success. The mid to late 90s players forward. it doesn't appear as if it's going to work out long term for Brent Pry. Hey, good morning, Rodney. Hey, I need to talk to you about the T-shirt guy. I mean, I wanted it to work out as you did. He's a good dude. Did he wait too long to bring coordinators in? Did it surprise anybody else to see the defense as well as they adjusted against South Carolina? And let me throw this out there to you. Vanderbilt, to me, looked like a better football team than South Carolina. We're going to find out. They play Saturday. They look like a better football team to me. Look like they had a better offensive line. Who are you going to take, Lenore Sellers or Diego Pavia, after what happened? But they came into Blacksburg on a Saturday night. But hey, thank goodness they made sure they showed all of Sandman, because you know how intimidating that was. (20-10) got flipped on its ear. Tech 21 yards in the second half. 21 yards of total offense. And Marcellus Hawkins, no, he's trying his hardest, but he's not that guy, at least so far. Then again, he only had 8 carries. There doesn't look to be anybody in that backfield that's going to be able, in any way, shape, or form, able to replicate the loss of Bayshore 2. Morning, Troy. How are you? Good to see you. By the way, a little bit of bragger's note here. Let me show you this right here. I put the recap, what I said about the game. If you can see that right there, this was on our BDST Facebook page. Look at that, 45,275 interactions. The power of BDST. 45,000 people checked out that post. I'm pretty proud of that. But anyway, we'll get your thoughts. There was a lot that went on in college football. Virginia blew their game. They played really well at NC State, the non-conference game. But I know everybody right now, or most people, are focused on one game and what happened in Blacksburg. There was a period I was just sitting there watching it happen, like I said, in the fourth, and just looking around at the people I was with going, what just happened, guys? Explain it to me. Did you see what's going on? And this program looks like it's fallen into an abyss at this point. And the shots of Brent Pry look like a guy who knew now that, I mean, he is he's up against it now. And again, the other side of it is the things you don't want to hear. The facts are, it's 2 games. They haven't played a conference game. They're favored this week. They're going to be extremely heavily favored against Wofford. But these are 2 games, and I said this, they went 0-2. Those 2 games don't matter in terms of what you think as a fan and alumni and the donors and all the folks and everything else. I mean, it's going to be hard-pressed for me to think there's going to be an atmosphere of any kind on Saturday against Old Dominion after what happened. Kyron Drones, he looked completely defeated, didn't he? He took sacks. He was running for his life. And the thing that really blows me away about this game, when you break it down, and I'm not trying to pile on here, but Virginia Tech got every break in the football game. The 2 turnovers that led to touchdowns. 11 penalties for 77 yards from Vanderbilt, a few of which seemed almost made up. But what did Coach Lee do? He kept them together, talked to the officials when he needed to. And even in spite of those mistakes, they outgained Tech 490 to 248 and outscored them 34-0 in the second half. Shut out on your home field in a night game, 34-0. How? How does that happen? How does this program come back from that? You're going to get all the coach speak. Well, it's one game. We're going to come out and work hard this week and get ready. Had a good week of practice. And the other thing that bothered me, and this isn't hindsight. I don't try to come on and do hindsight a lot. I don't like to be that guy because of a result. You know what I'm saying? Like after a game, you go, well, they should have known. But it was during the time of the game, and I think everybody kind of remembers it. It was, and make sure I get the play right here. By the way, Brent Pry was asked directly in the press conference if he says he's feeling heat about his job. He says, I'm not. I tell the players to ignore the noise. The expectations here are to win. I'm not happy with where we are right now. Not from a win standpoint. Well, that's really all that matters. But I like this team. I'm still excited about what we can do. There's a lot of season left. First possession of the second half. How much did it bother you like it bothered me? It's fourth and maybe that much of the football. And no, I'm not describing something else. Tech still had the lead at the time, 20-17, and it was fourth and that. And Pry's answer to the question was, why didn't you go for it there? That he's not a fan of going for it. If you don't get it, it's pretty automatic points from the other team considering where we were on the field. Everyone knew what this game meant. Everybody knew what this game meant around that program. People who support the program. All these awesome Tech fans. Everybody knows. And you're sitting there and you have a chance to wrestle the momentum back. You don't go for it on fourth and that much because you didn't think you could pick it up because you have no confidence about what you've seen out of this offense. They punt. Vanderbilt comes down and never loses the lead again after they take it. And I'm not saying that cost them the game. I'm not going to be that guy. But that, to me, I didn't like it. If you don't get it, I know the field position wasn't favorable, but I watched NFL games all day yesterday, and it's now a new type of football. Anything fourth and less than a yard, unless you're inside your 30, you're going for it. Or you're 20, it seemed like they go for it. But that, to me, came across that non-aggressiveness sends a message. It means it tells your team that you don't believe that they can pick up that much. And if you're in year 4 and you have a new offensive coordinator and you have a quarterback you've paid $1.5 million for, and you don't think you can go out there and pick up that much yardage on a quarterback stick as much as they run drones, and what kind of a message are you sending that team? You're telling your offensive line, you guys aren't playing well. We don't think we can get that much. There's a time to be conservative, and then there's a time to say, you know what, let's just lay it all on the line. And I know he would have been second-guessed mightily if he'd have gone for it and didn't get it. But you know what? So what? So what? Your whole tenure remaining in Blacksburg could be on the line. Now, many of you have sent me messages on our Professional Door Incorporated text line asking me about job security. I don't know these things. I don't know. I don't have any kind of inner workings over there. I have a lot of people I talk to that speculate, but that's just speculation. And I don't want anybody to lose a job. I don't enjoy sitting here and talking about all this crap. Nobody wants that. Everybody wanted the season last year to be that breakthrough season like many expected. It didn't happen. schedule this year seemed very favorable. Mentioned right off the bat, when we did the schedule breakdown, they needed to go 1-1 in these SEC games. And they're 0-2. And now you have 2 games. It's not going to do anything for the fan base, even if you win them. You got to play the next 2 weeks, and you just have to try to improve as much as you can. Old Dominion won't be an easy mark. They have a quarterback who is an unbelievable dual threat. They hung in there with Indiana for 2.5 quarters on the road to open the season. You know, they had a scrimmage against North Carolina Central. They just put up 50-some points in that game, but Vanderbilt came to Tech playing Charleston Southern, so we didn't know what to expect. And then we see basically the same team, 1 year aged, come into Blacksburg and not be bothered at all by the atmosphere. And this is what Dwight was talking about last week. Hey, it's great. Sandman, let's go. Let's jump. Woo! Even at 20-10, Vanderbilt's able to settle the whole thing down, come back, battle, and win the game. And I know many of you are very disgusted. And like me, confused. That's the kind of turnaround you see happen to a team. Let's say Tech's on the road playing somewhere. Let's say they're down in Tallahassee or Miami and it's 20-10, they lead. And then you see a home team make adjustments, get the crowd behind them, and then they come out with momentum and boom. But that happened on your home field at night on a Saturday. And that crowd was full throat. Had to be feeling good about 20-10. I know I was. It didn't matter to Diego Pavia at all. Even after the interception that he threw, it never seemed to bother him. You would take a lot of Diego Pavias on your football team, the way he approaches playing the game. That kid is he's wired differently. Then they had those 2 backs, the Alexander kid and the young kid. They didn't touch the ball much, but they always found openings because their offensive line is very good. The one thing Dwight pointed out was how easily they were just winning every battle against Tech's defensive line. And in that fourth quarter, they were just running right at them. There's nothing more demoralizing for a football team. I heard Bill Parcells say a long time ago, when somebody's just lining up, running right up the middle on you, and you're touching them 8 yards down the field, there's nothing more demoralizing. John Madden used to say the same thing. When you can run the football like that, there's nothing more that tells a defense they're completely disrespected than when that's happening. Wayne, in our McClellan Chiropractic chat room, everything was set up to win, home game, favorable calls, turnovers, still couldn't win with any conceivable advantage, with every conceivable advantage. Yeah, and that's the other thing that blows me away, going back, all the mistakes Vanderbilt made, they shot themselves in the foot the entire football game. The entire football game. They got calls against them that made you think they were the ACC team and Tech was the SEC team. That was an SEC crew. Right? And Clark Lee was upset. How many times they show him getting in the officials? Like, what are you doing? They put all that aside. And I don't have the answers. You know, I'm still sitting here today, and I went back a little bit yesterday morning and I watched just how it unfolded in the second half again so we could talk about it. And I'm just watching those battles up front, and then you can almost see when Tech decided to quit. You could almost see after that first touchdown in the fourth quarter by Vanderbilt, you could just see it. You could feel it. Oh, and 2. People are asking me a lot here on the text line. Brought to you by Professional Door Incorporated. 38 years in business. My first thing, I'll give you an answer because I know you don't want to hear, I don't know. I don't think anything's going to happen job-wise for a while. Like, I don't think you're going to see anything from Virginia Tech's administration I think they're just going to keep moving forward. They don't probably feel like that's going to be advantageous in any way to do anything. What does it mean for Whit Babcock? Well, none of it's good. I'll tell you that. I mean, I can answer the question that way. You already know that. But do I really think anything's going to happen? No. Now, could that change just like the second half changed on a dime? Could that change? Let's say the unthinkable happens and Old Dominion comes in here and gets a dub. Hang on just a second. Hang on. I got to take care of an animal again. I'm sorry. This is real life. It's live. Smoke if you got them. I'll be right back. All right, there we go. Got it. There you go. Balboa Creed out protecting the countryside here. He needed to come in. He doesn't care that it's cold. He's just out there doing his thing, man. So, no, I don't think, just to get back to your questions here, man, to the professional door text line is blown up this morning. What's great about the chat room and the text line is two totally different factions, so it's great. So, no, I don't think anything's going to happen. You won't hear any of that. Tech doesn't seem to be wired that way. And I don't really know what good it would do right now anyway after 2 games. I don't think you're going to accomplish anything by doing that. So you've stuck with it this long. Let the new coordinators 2 games in figure out what they need to do better. And at this point, you have to throw that in. Is what Philip Montgomery is so brilliant at in his offense not working with the personnel at Virginia Tech. It's certainly not getting help from the offensive line play. Folks, that's been terrible. And the offensive line's been bad the last couple of years, and you watch it, you're just it's worse. Do we just go ahead and say it? Kyron Drones isn't that dude. He's not a dude. It's not even it's not even criticizing the kid. Just watch his game. He's not the guy. He's just not that guy. As all the great quarterbacks Virginia Tech has encompassed over the years, he's not one of them. On the text line, people should be charging in the Lane Stadium. Like an old Frankenstein movie. Matthew says, I know the O-line was awful, but his Drones playing out of position. I don't know what other position he would have. Could he pull a Logan Thomas and become a tight end? I don't know. I don't know if he has that in him. But, you know, what you look for is what, and I'm sorry because it's the most recent game, it's going to be the comparison. But look at Diego Pavia. Things weren't going well early, right? He threw the pick. He made a terrible decision on the deep ball. It was an easy pick. He just he never, ever gets rattled. That kid, he reminds me of Jalen Hurts, the Eagles quarterback. He just goes, and goes, and goes. But tell me this, and we heard all of our wonderful pundits on Tech football leading into the season. What did they all say? Kyron Drones has to stay upright because there's nothing back there behind it. Chris, ODU is 1-1. ODU lost at Indiana last 2 weeks ago. 27-14. They actually had the lead. And then they beat up North Carolina Central on Saturday. I think they put up 50 points against Central. But I'll tell you this. They have a dynamic quarterback, a two-way quarterback that can absolutely fly. And they have a really good running back. There's a reason that spread opened up at 11. I saw Andy Bitter's post. I was wondering. Andy's great. He puts up the spread early. There's a reason it went from 11. It's 7.5. Tech lost 3.5 points in a day. Do I think all this changes? I've gotten several texts. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Steve. I like when people put their names on there. Yes, if Old Dominion happens, if they're 0-3 after Old Dominion, then I think all bets are off over in Blacksburg. Yes. But right now, no. Going into it, you're not going to hear any of that. It's going to be football focused, as it should be. Getting back to work, trying to figure out what in the world can you do. You know, Tech's turned around 0-2 seasons before. I know. I know. Not the same. But I couldn't say it the best way I needed to on Saturday night. But, boy, when you saw 34-0 in the second half after being down 20-10 from Vanderbilt.
Oh, my. Oh, no. Oh, no. That was out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Oh.
It was out of nowhere. Tebow says, Virginia Tech has not gotten 1% better under Pry. Drones, to me, hasn't improved at all and is still inconsistent. Recruiting still below average, 83rd ranked class. He says Pry is and was in over his head. Wayne asks, can the coaching staff resurrect these players? They will not have their heads on straight. They read social media. You know what? And that's a point, too, that I think all coaches deal with. You better believe it. All these players today have their head buried in social media, every single one of them. That's a great point. Every single one of them. Jimmy says, I was at the game with my golfing buddy. Wasn't expecting 34-0. That was out of nowhere. Yeah. And that's a great question. It's a fair question because you do have two new coordinators, new O-line coach. Can they pull this out with these players? I don't know the answer. The visual test will show us how they come out on Saturday. This is a series that's going to be ending. Old Dominion has not played well at all in any of their games in Blacksburg. We know they won down there. But in Blacksburg, they've been terrible. Now, none of that matters on the context of a new season, I know, but we do have that to base it on. But that's the best answer I can give you. Everybody who asked me over the weekend from Saturday night through Sunday to this morning already, nothing's going to happen. They're probably not even in that mindset at all. And I agree with that right now. But I think a loss on Saturday changes the whole diatribe around it. Because then at that point, and I'm not saying it will happen. Wayne says Tech plays poorly in Blacksburg too. Touche. If it's 0-3 after Saturday evening, yeah, I think things change. And you know what? At that point, they would need to change. But right now, no. They're going to get ready to go. Brent Pry will have his press conference. He'll understand the sense of urgency. You know, head coach isn't going to quit on his team, nor should he. He has to go to battle with these guys. These are the guys that he put together, he and his staff. These are the players they brought in from the portal. These are the guys that have been training, working together. You're not just going to give up on your team. But the problems are pretty evident right now. The offensive line play is not good. They cannot run the football in any way, shape, or form, and there's no running back that's a home run type of guy right now, at least through 2 games. It's not a knock on their individual skill or any of that, but what have you seen from them? I mean, we heard about Marcellus Hawkins being so good in camp. Well, he carried 8 times. 29 yards. Tech averaged 3.7 yards per carry. Vanderbilt averaged 7.1 yards per carry. And as Dwight, he called me late. We were on the phone. Different folks. It's great just listening. Said, did you see how their offensive line manhandled Tech's defensive front? Fourth quarter, midway through the third. Veteran guys. And to their credit, they are. They are. They're a veteran team in this day and age to keep that many players. Phil still had them as his number one, was it 86% of their production on both sides of the ball returned from last year. And they look like that team. And we're going to find out. They get South Carolina this week. Tech's first two opponents play one another. But 34-0 in the second half, 21 yards in front of your home crowd when you have a 20-10 lead. And I was texting with Wayne, we got down, they got that field goal, they ran it perfectly, 20-10, they had momentum back. And you go, all right, you know what? That was a really good half, man. That's what I thought. And that's what I was telling people. There you go. That's what I thought. So I don't know. I don't know the answers. But I will say this. If we deemed Saturday night as a must-win, then Old Dominion is a super must-win. A mega must-win. However you want to put it. Yeah. They did, Matthew, they did. They played like a real SEC team, bigger and faster. They did. They have seasoned guys, experience coming back, especially up front. They did. Pass rush was ridiculous in the second half. But you see, they adjusted some of the angles. They disguised pressures. And see, that's the kind of things you look for, and it's what Bud Foster was so great about. How many times have we had interviews with Bud Foster? He talked about making changes on the fly. You have like 5 or 6 different types of pressure packages and different types of, whether it's a zone look, how you switch your man coverage, whatever it might be. And if something's not working, okay, let's go to whatever he called it. And then boom, one of those would turn the game around. Tech didn't have that. Vanderbilt did. They changed. You have game plan A, game plan B on both sides of the ball. Game plan A not working, let's go to game plan B. We have 2 that we can fire off here. And then game plan B certainly worked for Vanderbilt. So to your point, they were able to pull that off because they had guys that looked the part and believed in themselves because they had success last year playing together in 2024. They weren't bothered at all by any atmosphere in Blacksburg. You know what we need to stop talking about? The atmosphere in Blacksburg. Sorry. And you know what? It has nothing to do with the fans. You are great. Any atmosphere that's in Blacksburg is because of Virginia Tech fans and how awesome they are supporting the program. They wanted nothing more than to see Tech build that up to a 30, 40-point score. The atmosphere in Blacksburg not being what it is has nothing to do with Tech fans or supporters, and I'm sick and damn tired of people that get on there and say, well, Tech fans don't do enough. I look on social media. What else are they supposed to do? What else are you supposed to do? You bring me to your dinner. I come over to your house for dinner, and everybody knows I enjoy me some fine meats, especially steak. And all we're having is vegetable pasta. That's not going to be a good atmosphere around dinner conversation. Well, right now, Virginia Tech football is serving up a lot of veggie pasta to its fan base. It really bothers me. Don't try to put this on Tech fan. This isn't on Tech Fan in any way, shape, or form. They have people that give. They have people that want this program. They know the younger Tech fans are also supporting. Do you blame people for walking out at the end of the third quarter? And the game was still close. And maybe some of those kids had something else to do. But by the time you got down to 37-20, that stadium was 3/4 empty. And it had nothing to do with the fans. They sold that game out. You have to have a product. You have to have something that creates that atmosphere along with what the fans create. And this isn't even talking about just Sandman. We're talking about the entire game. We talked about it all last week. Somebody help me. Who was the Miami quarterback before Cam Ward? He transferred to Miami. Tall kid. What was his name? Anybody know real quick? Anyway, when they came in here to Blacksburg, and I said this all week last week, he said, we couldn't wait to get there because the fans create such a great atmosphere. We don't get that at home at Pro Player Stadium. We don't get that at home. What was that kid's name? You know what I'm talking about. He transferred from somewhere and went to Miami. I guess I could look it up. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. He said, we got there, and he goes, the key is you get a score early, you get ahead, or you take their best shot. You can turn that into a home field advantage, and then you love playing there because the surface is so wonderful. And, boy, did it look great. There is nobody in the country that takes care of a field any better than Virginia Tech's grounds crew. I mean, I don't know how they do it. Just beautiful, beautiful. If Virginia Tech football put a product out there like the field caretakers put out there, this wouldn't be a conversation today. Now, I don't know who that quarterback was. Miami's quarterback. What year was that? See, when did Cam Ward start? 2023, 24? No, it wasn't Emory Williams. Miami Hurricanes quarterback. Well, 2020. I'm going to go 2023. Let me see here. I'm going to try to find it. Because now it bothers me. I should be able to remember his name. Tyler Van Dyke. Thank you. Tyler Van Dyke. Remember? He had transferred into Miami. That's who I was thinking of. Tyler Van Dyke. He had played Wisconsin, went to Miami. Because he even said, we have nothing but respect for Virginia Tech fans, but we love playing there. Once you get on them, it's a great place to play. What do you think Vanderbilt thinks about playing in Blacksburg? They left there thinking the same thing. Tyler Van Dyke. Jimmy says when he was at the game, fans gave up. They flatlined. Sure. Jermaine Ferrell will join us. We'll talk about this game and others. Mike Ashley is going to join us. And then Chris Kinzer, the former place kicker, Pulaski County Cougar, who sent Tech to their first bowl win against NC State in the Peach Bowl, will join us at 8. And we're going to talk about what he's been up to, first of all, that team. And I do want to ask him about the state. It'll take you inside a little bit. I already know, thanks to Dwight, what a certain era of player is thinking right now about what's going on in Blacksburg. I was part of that conversation on Saturday. I was gifted just sitting there listening. The players who put this program along, obviously, with Coach Beamer from the 95 Sugar Bowl upset of Texas and then forward into the early 2000s, mid-2000s, none of them are on board with what's going on. I mean, there's some – and you know what? If you're not going to listen to the most powerful alumni like that – now, I know technically the folks who pay the money are going to be the ones who are the most powerful, but I don't – you've got to listen to what these guys have to say. And you know what? They're going to be heard. We'll talk to Dwight about this on Thursday. I asked Dwight if he wanted to make a special appearance today. He said, no, give me some time. Hey, I understand. Because as much as this program means to you, it means even more to those guys. And they can't stand to see what's happening. Dwight said the first thing we saw was getting just whipped physically, and then they quit. He goes, because football players know when other football players quit. We can speculate. They can watch 2 plays, and they know when guys have quit. They look at blocking. Dwight, for instance, looks at blocking angles, how much they fire off the ball, how much effort do they give going to their blocks, all these things. That's when I say Dwight Vick's the quintessential source for tech football. He's got so many different mindsets about it, and he's talking to all the guys, that group that put tech football on the map. You're right, Tebow. Virginia Tech's home field advantage is a thing of the past. Nobody fears coming into Lane Stadium anymore. You think Old Dominion's afraid to come in there? And I hate to use this term because they do have something to lose, a football game, but really they're not expected to win. They haven't played well there. They're 1-1. They've already been to Indiana, so they already have a Power 4 road game under their belt. That's what makes this a little more intriguing to me. They've already made a travel midway across the country into a P4 stadium coming off a record-setting year last year for Indiana football, and they handled themselves pretty well. They didn't have enough Jimmies and Joes in the third and fourth quarter late against a Big Ten team, but that was 27-14. Tech just lost by 24 on their home field to a team that, even though they have all that experience, our guy, Phil Steele, had them 14th in the SEC. So in any event, that's where we are. That's where we are. And we'll get Jermaine's take on it, and we'll see. How's everybody's stream looking, by the way? Wayne says his is fuzzy. Is the stream fuzzy? It looks good to me here. I can usually tell when it's fuzzy. Let me adjust here. Everybody's stream okay? Does it look all right? I'm not getting anything here. I usually can tell. I've had, there's some moments, obviously you're going to have dropouts in streams, but I'm not getting that here. So let me know if it's fuzzy there. Let me know. Could be having issues with the Ethernet. I don't know. Although I'm hardwired in, but I don't see it here. I do not see it here. So if it's a bit fuzzy, let me see here. Let me see here. Let me try this right here. Uh-oh, I'm stuck and not moving. Let me try something here. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. All right, let's see if I can make that better here. Thanks for the heads up, Wayne. I appreciate it. All right. Let me know now if that's any better. But anyway, we're trying to adjust it here as we go. Everybody's telling me I'm stuck, although I do not see that I'm stuck. The audio is good. Maybe that helps some. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing's different here today. Once you get into the abyss of all that stuff, things happen. Things happen. Let me try this. Let me see if this helps at all. Let me know if that helps at all. All right, let me see here. Yeah, we're connected now. We're connected, so. All right, keep me posted on what's going on. Thanks to Fencing Studios. We appreciate them, as always. here in Reiner, 540-200-8294, HamblyFencingNRV.com. Go see Jason Green and the folks. McClellan Chiropractic and our chat room. Thank you for everything that you do so much, for all your help. Also, we want to thank Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment for being our presenting sponsor of the program here. Thank you. Little River Heating and Air. Time to get the heating part situated. It's 47 degrees, for goodness sakes. Got to get that done. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of BDST, and very happy and honored here today to announce that we have a brand new sponsor, Professional Door Incorporated, 38 years in business. They do garage doors, residential and commercial, right there, Route 100, easy to find, right across from New River Community College. All right, we're good now. We're good now. All right. 38 years in business. We're very good now because joining us here, boom, there he is. And, look at that. He's got his cowboy jersey on. I love it. Love it. It's Jermaine Ferrell, the sports director, WFXR, the sportscaster of the year. Is that a 19? What do you got on there? I like that.
Yeah, that's an Amari Cooper jersey.
Ah, very nice. Very nice.
That throw a little Amari out there. That's Amari.
Amari. I like that.
Yeah, it sounded good, but we'll work.
It did sound good. All right, man. Let's get into it.
It's funny. I have a lot of cowboy jerseys with players over there. You know, Ezekiel Elliott, you know, Wilbur Lyman that was signed. My wife has that jersey. So a lot of jerseys, but I guess it's great to wear players that are no longer with a team for various reasons. So you roll with that.
I got you. Well, Jermaine, let's get into it, man. I'd love to get your take. I mean, obviously, we were hearing about it all morning, and I heard about it all weekend. We're watching, and I don't know. It's a 34-0 second half. I don't know. Your thoughts, man? Because it looked good in the first half. That's what I thought we were going to see right there. That was like, yeah. And then it happened. What did you say?
I think what it was just a tale of two halves, and I have no explanation what happened with Virginia Tech in the second half. First half looked great. Kyron Drones playing well. The offense, defense making plays. But then in the second half, it just went away real quick. And just a tough loss. And now, obviously, the questions are swirling and everything's out there now. It's like, okay, because, you know, I felt if Tech could go 1-1 in the first two games, things could be really going a different direction or a good road to hope. But then overall, when you look at where the game is in that second half, you look at yourself, you say to yourself, what happened? And that's what people want to know. You know, people want that understanding. But 34-0 in the second half, to be outscored like that at home, the energy was there, the passion was there. But in the second half, and like I said, I have no explanation. I don't know exactly what happened. And a lot of people are pointing to the fact that Virginia Tech, like it was a fourth down play that they had an opportunity. Yep. I think it was like fourth and short.
Yeah.
And they decided to punt the football. Now, I could see both sides of the coin. You're deep in your own territory. If you risk it and you don't get it, then, okay, you're giving Vanderbilt a short field. And really, that second half, they didn't have an opportunity to stop them much. Or if you go for it and you get it, then you keep the drive alive. But one thing I felt that really hurt Virginia Tech, there was a lot of 3-and-outs. Because if you go 3-and-out a lot and you throw your defense back out there, they were just out there. And Vanderbilt had long, sustained drives.
Yes, they did.
You know, they had drives that took up double-digit plays. So if your defense is out there that long, I mean, eventually they're going to wear out. But your offense has to help your defense in some aspects. And I know coaches talk about that a lot. I mean, offense can be your best weapon for your defense. You know, I could take it back even with the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys for some time had a defense that was struggling. So if your offense, you know, with the running game could eat up, you know, 10 to 15 plays, really could keep the defense out on the field not as long. And I think that was the thing. And I'm not saying that that's Virginia Tech's defense, a struggling defense, but that second half, we just don't know what happened. And, you know, a lot of times in the half, you know, you go into the locker room, you make adjustments. Vanderbilt obviously made the adjustments for them to take over and win the game. But it was just a tough loss for Hokie fans. And now, again, the questions are swirling, you know, and I was just looking at a lot of people, and I was looking at a lot of things. And sometimes you go on these sites and these fan sites, and you just look at everybody, say, fire this person, fire that person.
Right.
You know, we need more money. We need to do this or do that. And I just laugh at it. But that's fans. Fans is short for fanatic.
Correct.
They are fanatic, and they have that right to be fans. And I'm not going to knock fans. I just laugh at it. But overall, yeah, a tough loss. And now, you know, Virginia Tech regroups, and they have a game this Saturday night again. They take on Old Dominion, which is a game that, you know, you think, you know, can you win the game and see what happens? But, you know, like I said before, John Madden, I think I said this before, John Madden used to say, you know, winning is the best deodorant around, you know, because that takes care of everything. But, yeah, tough loss for Virginia Tech, and now they just have to regroup and get back after it. I mean, you know, Coach Pride talked about, you know, we still have 10 more games. And the thing is, you can turn the thing around. I mean, there were some things, if you could basically take some things from the South Carolina game, take some things from the Vanderbilt game, and piece it together for one complete game, this Virginia Tech team is not that far off, in my opinion. I mean, they got some pieces and weapons. And again, I think that's where that comes into play. And I know everybody says, well, you know, why couldn't they do that in the second half? And why aren't they not doing the things they need to do? And there's things we probably don't know about behind the scenes. But I think overall, they could get this thing going again. I mean, if they could, you know, maybe win these 2 games and get confidence and get momentum going, that's what happens. I mean, Tech had started 0-2 before. Like I said, the 95 team started 0-2. You see what happened there. So anything's possible.
Jermaine Ferrell joining us on the program, talking about Tech and a lot of other things we're going to jump around and talk about. UVA, my goodness, they were playing so well at NC State. Let it get away from them late in that football game. That would have been an enormous statement win, I think, for Tony Elliott, another guy who's feeling the heat like Brent Pry, yet UVA sits here at 1-1. What were your thoughts watching that? I thought UVA came out and looked really, really strong early in that game.
Yeah, they did. I mean, you know, that running back, I tell you, making big plays. And Morris is showing that he's a good quarterback. Just at the end of the game, I thought there was a mistake that happened. Obviously, the turnover in the end zone, the interception that was really cost them the game. But again, a lot of good things you can take out of it. But again, it's a culture, learning how to win. And I think, you know, games like that, you know, Virginia is still trying to learn that process. And I think that's what happened to a lot of teams. If you haven't had success for a while, you're trying to learn how to win, and they just came up a little bit short. But again, a lot of good stuff you can take out of that. The offense was clicking. Defense made some plays. They had a 10-point lead at halftime, but into the second half, again, teams make adjustments, and that's what happens. If you make the right adjustments, one way or the other, it's going to lead to success. But tough loss for the Cavaliers, but they'll bounce back. They have a noon kickoff on the ACC network like Virginia Tech does with the primetime game on the ACC network, as they'll play William and Mary as the former Virginia coach Mike London comes into town as they play an FCS opponent and trying to get back there.
Well, let's go back to week 2 of the high school football season. We'll be reviewing it coming up. One
thing before we go to high school, I got to give a shout out to Roanoke College. Their first college football game since 1942, and the Roanoke College Maroons. I mean, the energy was there. They had 5,600 fans for their first ever home game.
Did they really?
The first ever game, Salem Stadium had over 5,600 fans. The energy was there. The passion was there.
Awesome.
And a lot of local kids did very well. Tandem Smith, who is the ODAC from George Witt, former George Witt star and former Party Friday Night Blitz Player of the Week on WFXR. They blocked the punt, and then they recovered it in the end zone. First touchdown since 1942 for Roanoke College, and they won over Virginia University of Lynchburg. So I think they got something going there, man. The president, Frank Shushak, who was also a former administrator at Virginia Tech, when he got there, he said one big thing is we need football. It's going to bring a lot of more students and a lot more energy and a passion. And Curtis Campbell, the athletic director, and Brian Steinspring, the head coach, they all had a vision, and they all said Saturday exceeded their expectations. And it was a great crowd. I mean, they were sitting on the grass hill at Salem Stadium.
That's cool.
There, and some of the fans were so packed on the home side, they filtered over to the other side. So a great crowd. And if you don't want to travel, if you're like in Roanoke or if you're in the New River Valley and you don't want to look at a game, there, there's options there. So it gives another option for fans who want to see college football. So kudos to what Roanoke College did. A big win. Now, obviously, Saturday they go on the road. The next couple of games they play at Greensboro down there. But yeah, I had to, before we get into the high school stuff.
No, I'm glad you did. That's
time stuff right there.
Yeah, we're going to try to get Coach Steinspring back on. I congratulated him. He said he wanted to come on this week. So, yeah, that'll be good. Get him back on.
He's all about that, doing media stuff, very media friendly. And there's an energy. He even said after the game, he said, he's been a part of a lot of big wins, a lot of college stuff. But he says this win, this bar none, the best one he's ever had. So that
had to be. Love it. Mm-hmm. All right, well, going back to week 2, and we'll get into it on 4th and goal this week, but what surprised you? Salem's 0-2? Giles? Where did that come from? Going to Radford after what happened against Blacksburg? We had some kind of weird bouncing around type of scores, didn't we?
Well, we'll touch the first one. Franklin County got their first ever win at Salem Stadium. They were 0-9 at Salem Stadium, and they finally got the win, and they led throughout. They held off Salem again. But Salem, they're 0-2 for the first time since 1997, and that's just something we don't see. We're talking 30 years. And the thing is, both games were at home. You lose at home, so that's a tough thing. But again, it's Salem. There's championship pedigree. With Coach Don Holter, there he's gonna get the ship righted. Now they got a tough one coming up this Friday at William Fleming, a team they lost to ironically at home last year. And Fleming got a bounce-back game, shut out Albemarle 49-0 after losing to Verona the opening week. And again, we talk about the adjustments from week 1 to week 2. What do teams do? Giles with a good win over Radford. Over the Bobcats. I almost want to call them Highlanders, but I got to catch myself. So high school. It's like the adjustment. You got to put that on.
I know.
But yeah, good Giles again. And that's those old school New River Valley games, those old school New River rivalries. They pop up. Giles and Radford was a good win for Giles to come back and get that. And so now, Giles is, again, it's interesting. These Class 1 teams facing Class 2 teams are just playing up.
Right.
It's things they do. These teams they play tougher competition, and I give kudos to that. You got to love that. And so Patrick Henry getting a gutsy win at EC Glass. EC Glass after winning at Salem.
That was huge.
A close game right then and there. Came down to field goals, penalties there. So Patrick Henry's 2-0. So you're going to have a battle of 2-0 teams coming up this Friday. Franklin County is playing Patrick Henry for the first time since 2014. So that'll be a big game down at Cy Dillon Stadium in Rocky Mount. A pair of 2-0 teams battle each other. And so a lot of good games out there. Glenver getting a big win. They're 2-0, rocking the scene. They won. They've outscored their opponents 126-0. Glenver's yet to even give up a point.
Is that all?
And that's it. That's it. Yes.
Wow.
And William Byrd, they get a big win over Hidden Valley, 65-3. So this week they go down to Christiansburg. So they go on the road for the first time this year, playing Christiansburg. A lot of these good rivalry games. Magna Vista and Martinsville, I thought that game would be a little bit closer. It was our game of the week. I thought it'd be closer, but Magna Vista, again, they dominate the series as of late, and they controlled that one 30-0. And at that game, a lot of old school guys. You had Sean Moore, former Martinsville and UVA star, along with Nikki Fisher. They were there, as well as former Giant and Patriot Ed Reynolds. Again, like I said, I did a story about, they have the special museum at the Fayette area historical initiative place. Sharice Hairston, she does a good job. And that's probably somebody that if you want to have on your show, I think she'd be a great guest to talk about.
Yeah.
it's a special exhibit they have down there where they honor there's 27 or 28 African American that were pro athletes that are from the Henry County, Martinsville area. That is a great museum, a great little exhibit that they hope to keep up. And it's something like there's stuff in there I've never even seen. There's signed jerseys, there's helmets, memorabilia of that area in the history of high school football. You know, every area, Rick, has a lot of strong history with high school football. You look at the New River Valley area and the stuff that, you know, Jeremy Haymore documented and Coach Mabry has documented with obviously the Three Rings football and then the Bandana Express. But there's other pockets. I mean, you go over to, like I said, that the Henry County, Martinsville area to document that stuff. And again, I'm a history guy. I love history. If
I know you are.
I should have minored in that in college or something like that. But
you would have been a college history. You'd have been a great college history professor. I mean, I'm glad you're a broadcaster so we can be entertained by you. But you'd have been a great. You'd have been there in your glasses. You'd have had on your coat with the patches on the sleeves, and you'd have just been the guy that everybody couldn't wait for your class.
Yeah, and then I would have had a beard like my brother Joe.
Yeah, you'd have had
I'd have had a beard like him with a little professor beard. You should see that, but I think in a future life, or maybe who knows, maybe I can go back and become a history guy. I love history.
Correct.
But it's just a great scene, and like I said, props to that organization and to have that. But overall, again, there's a lot of high school football out there. I mean, Heritage went up to West Virginia, had a tough loss there. So there's a lot of big time games, a lot of teams that are trying to find themselves. It's still early. Auburn went and got their first win of the year, beating Smith Mountain Lake Christian Academy. And that was a lot of points. I think they just scored again. It was 55-32.
50-something, 30-something. Those are fun.
Yeah, they had 87 points in Manita. And then Tunstall. How about this? Tunstall getting their first win in 15 ended a 15-game losing streak. They won a shootout, over Chatham. That was 48-41, I think. Or was it? There's another game. There's so many games, they start running together. But a lot of good wins. And now, again, this is week 3 now. And it's just crazy to think we've already knocked out 2 weeks. So
I know.
Right now, a fifth of the season is over.
Yeah,
so,
just like that. Just like
that. 2 weeks already in the book.
Insane. It's every year. Does it every year. Every year.
In college. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I will say this, like I said, there's a lot of good stuff going on. So it'll be fun to see, what all these teams can do. And when you look at, and this is another thing I brought up. I mean, you mentioned, Roanoke County, the schools in Roanoke County. Williamsburg's 2-0, Glenver's 2-0. What else I'm missing? I'm missing another one. But anyway, you got
PH 2-0.
PH 2-0. But I had a brain cramp right there. I'm thinking of, all right, so like I said, Northside's 2-0. How about that?
Northside's 2-0.
So you got the north part of Roanoke County doing well. They're 2-0. Vinton, the eastern part of Roanoke County, 2-0. Glenver's 2-0. But then the southwest Roanoke County teams are struggling a little bit. Hidden Valley and K-Spring. But again, there's transition there, especially at Hidden Valley. And I think there's athletes throughout the county. You mentioned the city's doing well. Like I said, so there's a lot of good football, and we'll see how it goes with that. But yeah, high school football's rocking and rolling, and everybody's excited. We're excited. So, and then look at NASCAR real quick. I know you're not a big NASCAR talker, but I'll mention it. But
not anymore. I used to be, but no, not now.
Denny Hamlin getting a big win. But then last night, and the reason why I'm struggling because I was up last night watching me and the wife were watching the Baltimore.
Oh
game.
My goodness!
I know the professor, Mr. Smith. You talk about NFL again. I don't want to step on his NFL cape.
Wow!
It's like again, Mike Burnham. I step on the Virginia Tech stuff, but that's Mike Burnham. That's Mike Burnham. See Burnham. The NFL, that is the professor, the rapper Hall of Famer, Mr. Smith. That's NFL. But you got to talk about that game last night.
How did he do that? How did Josh Allen pull that? That was unbelievable.
He's. I mean, I love Lamar Jackson, but MVP. Woo! I mean, down 15. I'm thinking the game's over. And then
4 minutes. 4 minutes left.
Derrick Henry fumbles the ball, and then it's just one play. And then, our good buddy Mike Tirico says the 41-40 was a scoregami. There's never been an NFL game ended 41.
Never been yeah.
Well, he said last night was a scoregami, which is pretty cool. But yeah, what a game for the Bills. Now, if you're Baltimore, you're at home. You're saying, so what? How do we lose that game?
I know.
Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, they were rocking the scene. I'm like, holy cow, these brothers are rolling.
It was over.
In the turnover, and I think you see what it didn't. Prater comes out of nowhere. I think he was kicking footballs at a high school field in Arizona. He took the red. He took the red at it. Like, hey, Jay Prater, not Jay Prater, but Prater. Hey, we need you. Get on the plane. He goes to Buffalo, and then this is how skillful it was. They took knees. They tried to eat up time. So then, with about 20, 25 seconds, they rushed that field goal team out there. Kicked the field goal, and they did it. And thank goodness it was a short field.
Yeah, it was a short kick. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not like he was kicking a 40. I think it's
different
rush him out there, but I mean, he nailed that with easy. He could do that in his sleep, which it seems like there's times when I'm on your show, I might be in my sleep. But anyway, which I've done that before. I've been like, hey, Jermaine, wake up! Your old show.
Yeah, on the old radio show, Jermaine.
Bueller.
But
what a game. I mean, this is fun. The NFL right now is so much fun. So again, apologies to Mr. Smith.
It was unbelievable.
I know you have your NFL segment, so I don't want to step on your toes, but gosh, you can't ignore that game. Holy crap.
No. Well, listen, I'm looking forward to hooking up with you later this week, and we'll break down high school football. Look at week 3. Like you said, it's flying by. It's unbelievable. We got some really good matchups coming up. That'll be 4th and goal. We'll have that on Friday morning. And thank you, my friend. As always, it's going to be an interesting week. All the noise coming out of Blacksburg.
Yeah, obviously we'll have the press conference coming up tomorrow and everything like that. But it's interesting when you don't win. I mean, you hear it from everybody. Everybody's like, do all this, do that. But I think there's things are not as bad as they seem. Things maybe not as good as they seem. The sun comes up, a little chilly this morning. The birds are chirping, but I think everybody just needs to take a breath and just calm down. Like, what did Aaron Rodgers say? Relax. Good.
Relax.
Relax. It's like an episode of A Different World. I think Debbie Allen told Whitley. She said, "Relax, release," or something like that. Something like that. I'll fix it later, but. Good stuff there, and it's always a joy to be on your show. R-Dub.
Always a joy to have you, my friend.
Rad VA thing there. That looks pretty cool.
That? Yeah.
Is that something new, or is that something y'all done?
Darius Nichols brought this out a couple years ago. I really like it. It's my favorite zip up right there. Yeah. He did that with the River City thing and everything that we do now, new branding for Radford. So yeah, it's good. A little chilly down here. It's 45 degrees this morning. It's a little chilly down here. So that's why I got
That's great. I mean, I know it's September. We should be warm still, but it's still football weather. I mean, we're getting now.
I love it.
We're going to get a heat wave. It usually happens. Never fails. We'll get a heat wave.
We will.
We'll also get a storm that will delay high school football. It's going to happen.
Yes.
Wait on it, but we don't want it too soon. If we get back past it and we don't have it, that's great too. But always a joy to Rick on your show, sir.
All right, brother. Listen, have a great week, and we'll talk later in the week.
We will. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Love the Mari Cooper jersey, by the way. That's cool.
That's cool.
That's just awesome. This is awesome.
There you go. Especially the NFL shield. You gotta love that.
Yeah, I love it. All right, brother. Have a good week, man. We'll talk to you soon.
You too.
All right, great stuff there, as always, from Jermaine Ferrell. And yes, 3 Rings football, you're right. Big win, Alta Vista coming back to beat Riverheads in Group A. I always love talking to Jermaine. It could go, but he and I could get on here. The show would be over. We'd go, oh, we're out of time. That's usually the way it is with the high school show. Oh, we're out of time. Good stuff all the way around. Mike Ashley's going to join us today because he could not on Friday because he didn't have internet. Thanks, everybody who let me know about the connection in our chat room. It's good now, everybody says, so that's good. Thank you. That's why we need each other. That's why I need you to subscribe, like, and share. By the way, we're over 400 now. I'm very excited about that. Thank you so much for that. Yes, sir. And I showed you the graphic. I'm pretty proud of this. This happened over the weekend because it blew me away. When I made the post about the Tech game, post game, if you look at this right here, you're going to see 45,000 interactions from the BDST Facebook page. What we need is those 45,000 people who aren't subscribed to jump and subscribe to the channel. 45,000. It blows my mind that many people saw a post that I made about the game. But thank you. Shows you the power of BDST. No, VT Hokie Go. I'm not ready for the snow. No, I don't love it at all. None of that's accurate. There's none of that's accurate. Oh, VT Hokie Gal. Oh, hey, VT Hokie Gal. Good morning. 45,000 people saw that, interacted with that post. We're getting hit pretty hard on the text line in a good way. Thanks to Professional Door Incorporated joining the program officially today. Travis Williams and company, thank you so much. Very exciting to have you on board. 38 years in business. They're a new sponsor of our text line. Also going to be part of our high school football show. So thank you very much. Again, they do garage doors better than anybody. They keep it simple. You need to get that squared away for wintertime coming up, all this cold weather. Residential, commercial, doesn't matter. They can handle it. They're Route 100 in Dublin. Go see them right across from New River Community College. It's beautiful up there. A little stretch of 100. Family owned, second generation. Travis, his dad built this with his bare hands. 38 years serving the community. 38 years. Love that. Love that. It's awesome. Thank you so much, Travis. Looking forward to our partnership. National Bank. Lara Ramsey, member FDIC. They got our star of the week, which we're going to talk about this week, sponsoring our high school show. Thank you so much. I've been banking there 35 years. They take care of every issue that I've ever had, and they have great people there. Go see them. They're awesome. Mentioned the Family Fencing Studios. Thanks to Jason and everybody there. Family Fencing is a terrific group because they're a relatively new business, but they've already got their hands dug into the community. They don't mess up your yard. Aluminum, vinyl, wood, chain link, doesn't matter. Commercial, residential, agricultural. Go see them. FamilyFencingNRB.com. 540-200-8294. Great people. Great people. So thank all of you so much for your support of the program. Thanks to the attorney, Ryan Pry. And it's simple. And we're already we've been averaging about 3 dozen responses. We're going to pass that maybe today. I put out there the BDST fan question of the week by the attorney, Ryan Pry, 540-838-2233. How many wins does Tech end up with now at 0-2? I'm not getting a lot of high numbers. Well, I'll count them later. We're already up to like 2 dozen. It's going to end up with BDST on YouTube fan question. We're going to break that today, the new record. Little River Heating and Air, thank you so much. The heating part's starting to become a factor, huh? When you wake up, it's why I've got this on, my little long sleever. It's 40-plus degrees when you wake up. It's beautiful. I love it. It's football weather. It feels like it. It smells like it. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. It smells like football, yes. Go see Charles Lee. I know people already telling him that they're going to him. They heard us talking about it here on the program. And that means a whole heck of a lot. So thank you so much for your support and everything that you do here for the program. Because this program wouldn't be possible. You know, you have to have support from people. It is a startup. There are expenses. There are things you have to pay for and things you have to do. And I appreciate everybody who's taken the time to made us part of this, and to have jumped on here and do what you're doing for the program. So thank you so much for that. And each and every week, again, I'm so proud to be saying that we are brought to you by my hometown, Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. And there's so many good things that they're doing up there with the community, so many good things they're doing up there, building back everything that, maybe Pulaski County lost at one time. But, you have a group of people who are dedicated to making it special again. And Pulaski County Sports Entertainment is building something extremely special throughout Southwestern Virginia. They're going to have tournaments, events, concerts, lots of opportunities and experiences for the residents, establishing itself as one of the premier destinations for sports and entertainment. You have Calfee Park, Motorsports Park, Randolph Park, and they're going to have this Pulaski County Sportsplex, Pulaski or playpulaskiva.org. Go see them. You're going to be very happy that you did. Thank you so much for your support. McClellan Chiropractic as well, and Mark Hunley. Thank you so much. Great stuff. Great stuff. Coming up in the third hour, former Virginia Tech place kicker Chris Kinzer joining us now after he experienced a brief internet hiatus is that man. We missed him so much, we're going to have him on twice this week. It's Mike Ashley. Mike, how are you? Good morning.
Much better this week. It was a Wrath of God week here last week. Yeah. Started with hornet's nest being built on my back wall here outside.
Well, was it bees? Did you have squirrel? It was some kind of critter too, right? Skunks or something? Was it something else going on?
Now just hold on a second. Yeah, hornets first. I had to go. I went to the garage and got one of my favorite tools out, a golf club. I got my putter out and I slid it along the wall to knock that thing loose. And then I ran like the Dickens to get in the house to get away from the hornets. It's maybe the most effective use I've ever had with that implement.
Yeah. Well, hey, whatever works. Whatever works.
Right. And from there, the next day they were rebuilding and I just used the flat side and whacked him. And I got a bunch of them and I ran like heck again and got away. And, so the hornet crisis was averted. And then that night I noticed an unusual odor here in the yard, which I've smelled before. Skunks got back under the house and make life very unpleasant here when that happens. Skunks.
Well, good.
Come on, man.
Glad you're back online. We missed you.
Yeah. And then Xfinity took me off the grid. They did some work in the area. I've been having some trouble anyway, but they knocked me off good, just in time to miss Dallas and Philadelphia. So I was not happy about that. And as I think I told you, I was kind of in a panic. You know what I did? I had gone down to a local watering hole, and they had the delay in the Philly game, and so I came home because I figured, hey, the internet's got to be back up by now. I'll be able to get cable. And no. So I went and sat in my car in the backyard and listened to Merrill Reese the end of the game. So that was like old school, and I knew you'd appreciate that.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
The next day I got up and I still had no internet, and the way we're set up, you and I had no way to communicate. So I'll learn sign language or something and try and get to you next time. I don't know what I'm going to do. Set up smoke signals, something.
That's all right.
Anyway, I'm back. I got the internet back in time to see the Virginia Tech game. The other night.
Let's get into that, Mike. You covered it a long time, and didn't you feel good? I mean, if you're a Tech fan, you had to feel good at halftime. I've been talking about it all day, and people are, not happy. 20-10. You think, this is what we thought we would see. They showed enough against South Carolina. 34-0 in the second half. Go. I don't know, man.
Well, yeah, and you know what? I all those years covering Maryland up here, I still am more wired into what's going on in the Virginia Tech fan base because all my friends down there, and so I don't know. I get so much information about that thing. I watched the game. I saw what happened, and it's funny that you're having Chris Kinzer on today. I'm here because Kinzer was his peak years were when I was over at Tech. And actually, I was supposed to launch to fame and fortune because he was going to go to the NFL and kick, and I was going to write his biography because I'd had such a good time interviewing him there for a feature in the Tech program back in the day. And the reason I bring this up, my first year over there, I started at Virginia Tech in the summer of 84. And so going into the 84 fall season, and Bill Dooley was the coach, and Tech was just about to have something special, but they didn't start out. they were 0-3 to start my tenure over there, and that was particularly bad for this guy who was trying to sell ads for the old Hokie Huddler.
You're right.
Boy, did their advertising dry up there after they started 0-3, but they turned things around. I think they finished 6-5 that year, and the game I remember most from that season was against UVA, where they were down like 10-0 at halftime to UVA, and the second half they turned the Stallions loose. Maurice Williams, remember him? Eddie Hunter in the backfield there, the running backs, and just the offensive line just dominated Virginia and won they ended up winning the game like 28 to 10 after it was 10-0. They were down at halftime. And, the next year was the Big Peach Bowl season, where Kinzer had one of the greatest seasons I've ever seen by a place kicker, and a conventional place kicker, straight on. He Mark Mosley style and all that.
Yes.
And, it seems funny because those guys are just gone now. I'd be interested to hear what Chris has to say about that.
Yes.
And you got to ask him about.
Write this down.
Well, first of all, like I said, he was on a team that turned things around. Second of all,
first bowl win, right? That was the very first bowl win.
Yeah. The second thing was the group on the special teams. They called themselves the Banjo Boys.
The Banjo Boy. All right, let me write that down. All right, go ahead.
It was the snapper was Steve Hale from Patrick Henry High School in Roanoke, who was probably the smallest Division I center. He was like maybe third, fourth on the depth chart at center, but he was a tiny guy to be playing offensive lineman, number 56. And then they had Jeff Balance was the holder, quarterback, I think from Princess Anne High School. And Jeff had been pretty highly recruited, but really just could never get on the field there at Virginia Tech, but really embraced the role of, being a part of that unit that was so successful and really won a lot of games. Kinzer had maybe 4 or 5 field goals to win games that year, including the Peach Bowl. I think he had one against Kentucky. He had a long one to win that one. But those guys, when I was talking to them, they were so loose, so relaxed. And I remember Balance telling me that Hale, the snapper, who, by the way, went on a long career as a Red Hat. If fans don't know what that is, that's the guy you see walk out on the field there during the breaks and has a red hat, so he's easily spotted by everybody. And he's the one that tells you when the commercial's over and they can start the game again. So it's a very important job in college football. And Steve did that for a long, long time. But before that, he was known at Tech. Balance told me something I didn't believe, but I've since confirmed with other people over the years. When Steve Hale snapped the ball back the 7 yards to Balance to catch it and place it for Kinzer to kick, he could control the rotations on the football so that the laces always came up. So it was just a matter of catching the ball and putting it down. You didn't have to spin it. You didn't have to get it ready for Chris to kick. It was always there. And I just thought that was one of the more incredible things I had heard at that time.
So Steve Hale, I got to ask him about Steve Hale too. That's what you're telling me. So all right, I'm writing all this down.
That was the big rivalry back then when those guys were in high school. Patrick Henry and Pulaski County. Those were huge games before Salem got in the mix by stealing Patrick Henry's coach, Willis White.
Correct. Well, it's dire times. You're 0-2. Old Dominion's coming in. The spread has fallen from, I think it was 11. Now it's 7.5. I mean,
if they lose one of the next 2, then I really think it's dire times. But right now, they've got a chance. You would hope the manpower they have would allow them to cruise in the next, or at least win the next 2 games. And it's a chance. I don't know, to gird your loins, as it were, to get back in there and get ready and rebuild and kind of come together. This is what I'd be watching. I want to know what the team's attitude is like now as they're in this situation and they try and extricate themselves and put themselves in a position, before we get into real ACC play of what kind of team they're going to be. So, I mean, it's a real opportunity too. You always look at these things as, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? But this is an opportunity for them to really restart things and get it going. And it seems like Pry is a really nice guy. I really don't have much experience with him.
Yes.
I feel bad for him because I don't know. Well, this is for the message boards, but it doesn't seem like me. And I know what they did to Mike Young in basketball. They really squeezed that program. If stop talking and start raising some money and get your athletic program where you say it's supposed to be, because you're not at a level now doing the things you need to do to compete at the level you're talking about.
Well, you're right. I mean, and that goes hand in hand, winning, and they just had the new proposal to the board and then you have, you're always asking fans for more and more and more. But, and you know this, Mike, and I've said this, the culture over there, the atmosphere at Lane has nothing to do with the fans. I mean, the fans are great. They're doing what they always do. The field always looks great. You have to have a product out there that makes that, that home field advantage means something. It means nothing now at Tech. And I never thought I would say that on a Saturday night at Lane Stadium when they have to win the game. You get outscored 34-0 after halftime. It just feels crazy that you're saying that. And we're not talking about a bad team, Vanderbilt. We're not talking about Alabama, Georgia. We're talking about Vanderbilt did that to you. I don't know, man.
Vandy looks pretty solid, and
Pavia is I love Pavia.
Mr. Watson, you're so young. You don't remember Charlie Coffey, do you? And those years?
No, I do not.
Where I was a real fan because I love Don Strock so much, and Billy Hardy, and some of those guys like that were the heroes of my youth. James Barber, who was the father of Tiki and Rondé, playing in the backfield there, and but they got smashed. I mean, they lost to Alabama 77-6 and gave up 900 yards rushing. They gave up. I mean, I think it was 800 and something, but it was almost 900. And
wow.
That I do remember Wilbur Jackson, 7 carries. Right, 7 carries, 140 yards.
Is that all?
Yeah, they were just, and that made Virginia Tech go out there when they got rid of Coffey, who had a Tennessee background and had the orange and white checkerboard end zone there, which is reminiscent of another school nearby. But anyway, they went out and got Jimmy Sharp from Alabama to come in, and he put in the wishbone offense, and they ran that for a while. And what I'm saying is, it's been much darker before than it is now. It's just now there's a couple of generations that have grown up with Virginia Tech football being a dominant force that are not happy. Well, look at yourself a little bit. You guys need to step up. And I mean, I know it's tough, the money situation, everything, but it's the way the game is played now, unfortunately. And that's what, let's get depressed about that over basketball season.
Well, that's right. I got to ask you, we're just jumping right here because it's Mike Ashley. I don't know if you stayed up and watched that entire game last night.
I did not.
I didn't either, because I thought it was done. And I get up and I see the first thing I see on the picture is Josh Allen with his hands in the air. I'm saying, what? They were down 15 with 4 minutes to go. 41-40. You've been around sports a long time, and baseball looked like it was always going to be the centerpiece sport of this country. The pastime, it's no longer remotely close to that. It may even fall behind basketball. That's where it's gone. But the NFL, have you ever imagined seeing anything that has just encompassed sports fans as much as the NFL does? What we're seeing right now, because that game last night, I just thought about it this morning. And yesterday being opening Sunday and the lead up Thursday night, the numbers last night are just – I've never seen anything like this with a sports league in this country.
No, and that's despite a lot of problems. We all need
a lot of problems.
Replay.
Right.
We need a lot less replay. We're all officials sitting at home on our couch. Well, he didn't possess the ball all the way to the ground and didn't get both feet down, and the wind wasn't right or something, because that can't be a touch. I mean, we all know too much now about this minutia, and in some ways it's ruined the game. I used to talk with some of your predecessors. We talked about how when we were growing up, you got 2 baseball games a week on TV.
That's right.
Now you see so many. You can watch so many. Football's the same way. my wife is amazed that I can always find a football game that I'm a little bit interested in and want to have it on in the background and know what's going on. And I will say this about the NFL. To me, it's almost too much like a video game now. It is set up for things that happen like last night. The way you can control the clock at the end of the game, the way the last team with the ball is always going to have a chance. This is the way they wanted it. They wanted as much parity as they could get, on any given Sunday and blah, blah, blah. And, it's almost become too routine to have finishes like this in some ways. There's so many now, it's hard to recall. Before, when we were young, there were a couple games that just stood out so much you always talked about. Now it happens every week. There's at least one that's, just absolutely incredible. And, you go, okay. It's like the one-handed catches. I see one, you got mossed. Well, every week there's like 7 or 8 one-handed catches now. It's more than that. Usually at all levels, kids are doing this with the gloves and everything. What does Fred Bolitnikoff think about this? He'll stick them and stuff. I always wondered, if anybody shook hands with him after the game because he was covered in
couldn't let go.
That glue stuff. I remember a catch he made against the Dolphins in the playoffs that was just absolutely incredible. And we got over the sidelines, you could just see his hands, which he didn't have gloves, were brown because he had so much stuff on them from, and that was the way you did it back then, I guess.
Yeah, no, you're right. Well, it's interesting. You're right. The league has a lot of things wrong with it. Roger Goodell thinks he's good at making money, but I don't think he's a great commissioner. But their power is so vast. I think that's why sometimes they make a lot of decisions that make us scratch their head. They don't do enough to make their officials better, like you're saying, so they won't have to go to. I mean, I'm watching the Bronco game yesterday, and in the first quarter, there were 3 different times they had to stop play. Coaches had to challenge spots were bad. They get the challenge back because upstairs they're saying, no, the refs missed that. But you shouldn't have to be doing that at the NFL level. They don't do enough to fix all that. But
you remember when John Madden first got on TV? That was the thing he always talked about, the old right, left, right, as the official runs up with the ball to place it. Which foot is he going to stop on, the right or the left?
The right or the left.
Is going to be closer to the first down than the other one. And, the thing that really has always kind of bothered me is the use of the challenges and replay as a competitive advantage. And some coaches were good at it and some were terrible. And it still holds true. But shouldn't the idea just be to get the call right? Should that be part of a competitive advantage, that you're better at picking out the right spots where you can maybe, because of some rule no one's heard of, figure out a way to get around a call or something like that? Shouldn't it just be the call should be right? And if you do that, you put in play what I call in these sports, you'd have a super official up in the booth that was his one job, is like he's already looking at it as soon as the play is over and is going to be in the guy's headset going, hey, we need to look at this and give me a second here. And then they come down and they just say, hey, no, that call was incorrect. We're reversing that. And keep the game moving, for Pete's sake. Jeez.
Yeah, you're right. They've got to work on that. It's the one thing that could bring the league down if they don't fix that and pay more attention to it. But
Rick, I also don't think you can separate the impact of fantasy play from what has happened with.
That's
the
a great
NFL
point.
too.
Yeah.
And in some ways, it's going to be a backlash of a problem because people don't even root for teams as much now as they just rooting for the guys they got in their draft and want to know how they're doing. It's how the red zone could take off like it has. And I played fantasy. I know how this works, but man, there's nothing worse than going to a sports bar and sitting next to some guy talking about his fantasy team. Please,
I know.
Get away from
I know. You know what I can't get used to? It still bugs me, and it bothers me. I got home, called soccer. By the way, congratulations, Chris Barrett. The soccer team got their first
big
win.
win.
Big win. I'm just so bothered by the connection of gambling and betting to football. They just advertise it on ESPN all day long. Remember how this was such a big no-no, such a faux pas, can't do it, shouldn't do it. And now all of a sudden, hey, while you're watching the game, subscribe to ESPN Bet. I'm just like, wow. It still bothers me.
Yeah, and very prevalent among college males in particular. I read stories in national media about kids gambling away their tuition money. So, yeah. I mean, it's just it really is bad that that's become such an established part of it. And I'll be honest, I saw that coming a few years ago in some of the independent things I was writing for. They really wanted more of a slant on the betting aspects, and knowing about injuries in advance became more important. And then suddenly leagues and schools started giving you less information about, who was going to be hurt, who couldn't play, what the status was. And, it just made that part of the job a lot harder.
Do you think maybe the era of the NIL, instead of cutting down on these things, maybe the era of the NIL has added to that? Because all of a sudden now there's money that some guys aren't getting, and maybe this is the way that some of these people can get. I always worry about the influence this has on the actual games themselves. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah. The money is always going to be a problem. I worry about another big scandal, point shaving, something's going to happen.
I do too.
Yeah, and it's going to further dilute the product in most people's mind, because right now it's already easy to wave this off, and they're what are these people doing trying to make the NCAA tournament bigger? Just leave something alone.
Leave it alone, for goodness sake.
It's really they devalue the regular season. You think about baseball, where it used to be two leagues. The teams with the best records would meet in the World Series. And now they keep adding rounds of playoffs, and teams get in there. And, there really is, anybody that knows sports know it's so momentum based. You can get hot at the right time, and, it doesn't matter what your regular season record is. You can you can get rolling at the right time and the title, and you just devalued your whole regular season in some ways. Nobody remembers that stuff anymore. It doesn't stand out. Nobody talks about Denver Broncos and red and white vertical stripes.
Yeah, right. I'm with you. Well, man, listen, thanks for jumping on today. We'll see you again in your regular space on Friday.
Oh, thank God. Yes, Monday's tough. I got to admit, but hey, at least I got to watch some sports, so I knew something this week.
You were good. You look great. Glad to have you back, brother.
All right, Goober says, "Hey, talk to everybody later this week."
All right, hey to Goober. We'll see you. We'll see you on Friday. There you go. That's Mike Ashley, looking great from his humble abode, wherever he might be. He's always at the beach. Hit us up on the McClellan chat room. We're getting a lot of folks in our Professional Door Incorporated text line, and well, he's here now, so we're gonna go ahead and throw him on. CK, if you're ready to rock and roll, joining us on the program, look at that big smile, ladies and gentlemen, former Pulaski County and Virginia Tech place kicker Chris Kinzer. What's up, CK? How you doing, brother? Good morning.
Good morning to you, Rick. How are you, man?
Good, man. How are you? My goodness, it's been far too long. I was talking to Grantham, and he said, "Hey, man, you got to go get Kinzer on." And I said, "I'm going to ask you." Sure enough, here we are.
That could be some bad advice from Todd. You got to be careful, Todd.
Well, man, let's get to it. I want to ask you, because I know you still follow the program, and we're going to get into all the things that you still mean to that program. You come up all the time whenever I'm talking to anybody over at Virginia Tech, but when you watch this program now, it was a big moment on Saturday. It looked like they had things in hand. What do you notice, or what do you hear about the program? What do you see? I mean, they seem to have lost that edge at home. Where's this program headed, in your opinion?
I don't know if you know or not. I'm the liaison to the visiting team in Lane Stadium, so I actually work all the home games. And
okay.
So I'm down on the field, and so it's very frustrating. I think Coach Pry and his staff are working their tails off. Everything with college football has changed so much. I honestly don't know. I want them to be successful. Everybody wants them to win, and I know everybody's frustrated, upset. I don't know if they're still trying to navigate that. Of course, they all try. Everything you hear now, they equate to money. You need more money. You need this. You need that. I don't know. I've been walking in that stadium since 1975 when I was 10 years old, and I've never witnessed anything like I witnessed Saturday night. It was, especially the second half, it was not good.
Yeah, that was the thing that struck me. I was sitting around watching with a couple other people, and they're talking, and I got quiet because I had the same reaction. I said, "What just happened here? How did this game get flipped on its ear just like that? How did you get shut out 34-0 in a half at home?"
Well, I think they had negative yards of total offense in the second half. I'm not for certain on that. I was watching the board there most of the game, and Vandy got the opening kick of the third quarter, and they had the ball like for 8 or 9 minutes. I mean, it was a hellacious drive, and then we came right back and went 3 and out and put the defense back on the field. So offensively, we've got to. If you don't sustain a drive, you got to get some first downs and keep the defense off the field, because it was the same thing against South Carolina. It was a 10-8 ball game, but you got to give the defense a blow. I mean, you can only ask so much of your defense. I mean, you can't keep them on the field the entire freaking game. You can't do that. It just don't work. So, and they just sputtered offensively. I mean, it was, like I said, I ain't never seen anything like it. I mean, I don't know about you, but it was horrible. So, and they know that. So, hopefully, everyone's they pry on them and get them straight, and they'll play good Saturday night. At least I hope so.
Chris Kinzer joining us on the program. Of course, he is forever etched with Virginia Tech football lore and history. Have a question or comment? Shoot us up in the chat room there with CK here. And well, let's talk about your progression, man. Let's go through the history. Of course, you and I, from the same place, played in that same program under, I don't know about you, but a guy I still consider kind of my second influence of my life as a male figure, Coach Hicks, and that program and how you built your career. Can you talk about what it was? Because you were there. I mean, you were there at the onset when the whole dominance and the whole aura began. Can you take us through what it was for you as a teenage guy who was kicking and being part of that and help grow that into the next level and then the next level?
Well, my freshman year in high school was Joel's first year. So
right,
we came in under that his new regime. So it was in the early years, Joel was tough. I mean, you ask anyone who played for him, he was a tough SOB. There's no question about it. And I always used to joke with Shane. I talked to Shane from time to time, and Shane would. By the time Shane got to him, I said he was a teddy bear because we had him. He was tough, but that first year, I remember the year before they had lost at home. I believe it was to Lafayette, out of Williamsburg. So they had to travel to Williamsburg to play Lafayette Joel's first year, and they just thumped them. They beat Martinsville. I mean, there were. As a young kid, as a fan, you got your attention as a kid because they were beating people that they normally beating us. So
right,
it's just a mindset. I mean, he just had high expectations, and of course, being on the staff at West Virginia, I mean that just he ran it like a college program. So, and Pulaski County back in those days had a ton of talent. I mean, a ton of talent. And he was able to, as a young kid going to football games, I remember when the two high schools first consolidated, those first couple of years, I think they probably were still thinking Pulaski Dublin High School. They weren't 100%. County. Yep. So it took someone to come in there and kind of, unify everybody. And that's what Joel did. I mean, he unified everybody. So when you get everybody pulling the same way on that rope, you can do great things.
Yeah, those early teams, of course, Gary Clark was such a prominent star. King Harvey, we ended up going to West Virginia, all those great names. And when did you start to realize that you were going to be able to develop to be such a key factor for those teams? I mean, you were there, and of course, straight on kickers, they've kind of gone the way of the dinosaur now, but you were one of the ones that everybody, referenced back then. Hey, Chris Kinzer's still one of the straight on kickers. Talk about how you developed, and when did your confidence really start to develop that you were going to be something?
I started, it was something my dad got me started in very early. You know, we back then the Ford Motor Company used to sponsor the old punt, pass, and kick contest.
Yeah.
And I had good success at that. So that was my first love of it. When I was in Pulaski County, you know, I was a quarterback, punter, and kicker. That's what I wanted to be, a quarterback. And but as in Joel's offense, Joel didn't throw the football. So
no.
I was someone who liked to throw, and I was an okay runner, but I wasn't as good a runner as Terry Fanley or somebody else. So, and I started going to Mosley's camps as a young kid, and I'd get to see, you know, all these really talented kickers, and I kind of measure up to them. And a couple of camps I won the competition. So it you know, it kind of got kind of figured about probably my junior year that if I was going to go to college and play college sports, it was either going to be baseball or kicking a football. So luckily, how it worked out the way it did. You know, I love baseball. So and there are some people to this day who will tell you they thought I was a better baseball pitcher than I was a place kicker. And even
I remember, yeah.
Even I talk to Tony sometimes, Tony Powell, who was a great kicker and pitcher for Pulaski County. And it does my heart good. He'll sometimes write something on one of the social media platforms, and he listed me as his hero. And I was like, good Lord, I can't believe I had that kind of influence. But it was, you know, that's very cool. But I had a lot of support. You know, my mom and dad, I had a lot of good coaching, and I was motivated. I wanted to be good. I wanted to be the best. I didn't want somebody thinking they were better than me, and that was the thing that drove me.
Do you remember your first big kick, whether it was a game winner or one that you remember that stands out when you were at Pulaski County? You remember the first one? You felt the big pressure?
The first one I think we beat Northside in Pulaski up in Dublin 3-0. I think that was my junior year. And then that last game of that season, we beat Patrick Henry on a last-second field goal in Roanoke at the old what was the
Victory Stadium?
Victory Stadium. So those are the two that first stick out to me. Yeah.
I'm surprised you could see the goalpost. I remember it being very dark. I was there watching. I remember it was so dark in that stadium. But yeah, I remember that kick. I remember that one. Exclusive.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Very cool.
Now, how about your senior year? You started to get interest. I know Coach Hicks was working for you. Talk about that and the whole progression as you ended up at Virginia Tech. I think this is very cool.
You know, when I wasn't the best student in high school. So when I started getting recruited and looked at, I had a lot of interest. I had a lot of people wanting me to play, but for whatever reason, I had a heck of a time with the SAT test. I didn't do well on the thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I spent a year after high school at a place called Fork Union Military Academy.
Yep.
They have what's called a postgraduate program. So you have a lot of kids that transition. It's kind of a transition year before they go to college. And they also had a class that specialized in helping you take the SAT. So I was able to, break 1,000 on that finally. And and then everything else. I mean, I took some visits to other places, but I kind of knew where I was going all along. I knew I was going to Tech. So that's where I grew up a huge Tech fan.
Sure.
Love Tech. So it was to have the chance to walk that campus and wear that uniform and play in that stadium. I knew where I was going all along.
Yeah. Yeah. How much did going through Mark Mosley's camps and learning all that, how much did that help you progress right from high school right into college? I mean, how much did that help you prepare for that?
Oh, I don't think you can place a measure on that. I mean, when you have a chance to kick, the first couple of years I'd go to the camp, but then when I started running his camp, because I ran his camp for a number of years, even when I was playing, I would, the week before we'd go to Pennsylvania or Maryland, wherever we were having the camp, I would always go to Mark's house up in Haymarket and stay the week with him. And I get to go to Redskin Park and kick and work out and kick right beside the only kicker to be the MVP of the National Football League. So
that's right.
If you can kick beside someone and compete with them, everything else is fairly easy. So
that's true. You're prepared for anything, aren't you, at that next level?
Yeah.
Hey, Rodney, how are you? Rodney Landry says, "How you doing, Chris?" Good for Rodney in the chat room.
Up?
Yeah.
What's
Thank
up,
you,
Rodney?
Thanks, Randy, by the way. Randy Thompson, good interview, say the least. All right, so take us through your preparation the week leading up to the Peach Bowl and what that meant for Tech. Everybody still highlights. I think that was the first bowl win. You guys going down there to Atlanta. Take us through that matchup and leading up to the kick. We already had Hokie Bob said he still remembers the penalty on David Everett. It didn't matter to you. You still locked it in. Take us through all that, man.
It was actually on Maurice Williams. Not the penalty to get us in position was on David Everett, but there was about 2 or 3 plays before that. We had our running back Maurice Williams. He faked an injury, and it was probably the worst acting job since Burt Reynolds and Hooper. I mean, it was pretty bad. So, how we didn't get called for a penalty, I don't know, but it was right after Christmas. I think the day after Christmas, we flew to Atlanta and had the prep and we were down there for a week. And but prior to that, I spent a lot of time actually at Pulaski County up there in the stadium kicking because over the holiday you got some time off, and I didn't kick every day, but the weather can be kind of iffy that time of year, especially around those parts. So
absolutely,
luckily we had good weather. So I was up in Cougar Stadium kicking 2 or 3 days prior to going back to Blacksburg. So it was a great experience. I grew up, like I said, Tech fan, and they never quite got the respect that they deserved. And so on that particular day in Atlanta, it was just nice to help us get some respect around the country. That was probably the coolest thing about it.
And then obviously the emotions and everything that poured out afterwards and everything. I'm guessing it probably stemmed from that, right? Maybe from the crowd or maybe from the state player.
Look, at the end of the day, there's no excuse for it. I apologize for that many times. People grow as a human being, as people, and
absolutely,
I recognize mistake. I'm 60 years old. I ain't never been in trouble with the law. I've never had a speeding ticket. You ask my daughter, she'll tell you I'm the most boring person on the face of the earth. So, I was just a dumbass kid. I mean, that's all I'm going to say.
What about after Tech? Take us through that and what you were hoping and your kicking beyond Blacksburg.
I went through a couple camps. I was in camp with Tampa for a very brief time. I went down to Dallas and did a thing with them. I chased it for about 2 years, and then you come to the realization that it's probably not going to work out. I went back to school and finished my degree, and I taught and coached 30 years. Before I just recently retired. So, I worked for Todd Jones down in Essex for a bunch of years. A good buddy of mine. I really love Todd and Meredith, and I remember when Shane was playing. I think he was playing arena ball, and he came up to play golf. And by the way, he's terrible at golf. And he was having a conversation. He kept at it, and finally he got into the league. And of course, he got in. He had just a outstanding career. But it's when you're trying to get in, and there's only 32 jobs available, and you have thousands upon thousands of kids. I mean, it's you have to be. I was a very good kicker, but as an older person, I wasn't quite good enough to play at that level, but I was close. But I just hard for me to. That'd have been hard for me to say once upon a time. But
sure,
yeah.
Chris Kinzer joining us on the program. Of course, he made the big kick there to send Tech to their first bowl win in the Peach Bowl. Can you take us through the whole thing, the importance of this? I think this always fascinates me. The relationship you have with the snapper, your holder, and how cohesive as it all has to be. Mike Ashley was just talking about, Steve Hale, the story of all that. Take us through how perfectly he spun the ball. Take us through that relationship and how all three of those measures have to be in sync.
Well, when that's the only thing you do, punt, kick, snap, we spent a lot of time together. And so one day at practice, I was complaining to Jeff Balance, my holder, as a kicker, if you put the ball in the kicking tee and the laces are facing the way you want it, it's pretty. I mean, if you spend a lot of time at it, you can make the ball do what you want it to do. But when the ball starts moving in front of you and being spun, it sometimes will mess with you. And we were just at practice one day because field goal kicking, we were always at 7 yards. You had to be 7 yards from the ball.
Right.
That was the thing. So Steve and I just got to playing around with it a little bit, and we discovered that when Steve was a little bit shorter, when we were a little bit shorter than 7 yards, like 6 2/3 yards, basically, when Jeff caught the ball, the threads were perfectly in his fingers. He didn't have to spin it; he just had to put it down.
Okay.
And I was fortunate at the time. I was kicking off a little tee, so I got a lot of lift on the ball. So getting the ball blocked was not probably going to happen. We could cheat up a little bit. Yeah. But it's very important that you have somebody you trust. I mean, when you have a holder and you hear the ball hit their hands, you kind of shake your head a little bit because you want it to be nice and quiet when it hits their hands. You don't want it to get to the palm of their hand. You want them to catch it up in their finger, what's called the finger pads. And then you have, Steve was very dependable. It's very important. Nowadays they've done the exact opposite. Now the kickers are almost at 8 yards. They're not at 7. They moved back. I was talking to John Love about that last year, and he goes, they moved. They're almost at 8 yards. So
wow,
yeah.
Mike wanted me to ask you about the Banjo Boys.
That was something that Jeff Balance made up. We would be at practice and how that came about, I don't know. I just kind of went with it, I just kind of went with it. But that was a Jeff Balance thing. I saw both those guys. Of course, I see Steve all the time because he's down on the field too, as the red hat. But Jeff's son George is number 41 for Tech. I think he's a backup linebacker. So I see Jeff every weekend also. And
that's very cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
You remember I had a couple people in the text. You remember the longest kick that you made, yardage wise, in high school and college?
In high school, it was either 49 or 50 yards against Cave Spring. I think it might have been 49 yards. That was in Roanoke. And in college, either 50 or 51 against West Virginia.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I'd have to go get up. I'd have to go up in my attic and pull out my foot locker and pull out all the stuff.
Exactly.
Most of that stuff's put away except for a few pictures.
Can you talk about how your life was affected by Coach Hicks during that era and our coaches? We're all football coaches, stay with us our whole lives, the people that molded us and shaped us. When we lost Coach, we all kind of felt the same, just enormous grief, right? And it continues. It really does.
Yeah, I used, when my mom, when she retired, she bought a house over near the golf course there in Farallon, right across the street from Joel. So when I came in town, I'd always go over and we'd sit around and talk. And he always had a different dog every time I saw him. It seemed like he adopted the same different dog every time. That was always he had a soft part. He'd go to the shelter and get another dog, and then when one passed away, he'd go by. It was just have something about him. I got to see as an older man that I thought was cool because I love dogs. Joel. I guess the one thing that Joel taught me, and that would be never be satisfied with where you are. You got to keep. It's never good enough. You got to keep working. You got to strive to be better. It's never good enough. You got to keep working, and that to me, I'd have a good game or do something good, and he would be very quick to remind me, what's ahead of you is more important than what's behind you. And we need to do this. I mean, he was always about, striving to be better. So there was a lot of things I learned from Coach. But I used to do my Joel Hicks imitation, and it was always funny to hear him say certain words. And like, Chris, you got to push yourself now. You got to push yourself. And, it was just. I remember one time we were in the weight room doing something, or no, it was a practice. I'll never forget it. We were running the option, and like 3 times in a row, we pitched the ball and hit the ground. And I'd pull my hair out, but I ain't got none left, Chris. It is just. There's a lot of things I can't share with you, but
of course.
But never to be satisfied. Keep working. That's I learned a lot from him, but that's something that really resonated with me, just to never be satisfied, strive to be better, always can get better. So that's what I learned.
Yeah, you're right. Practices on Monday were always harder after a big win, weren't they? Because of that. He's trying to don't go back to that. That's over with, right? You're just going to say that's your accomplishment? No, don't do that, right?
I used to hate Sundays because we'd practice you had games Friday, and then I don't know about how it was when you were there, but when we were there, we had meetings Sunday afternoons. And normally there was some running. We had some running to do on Sunday afternoons, normally down on the track, which I wasn't very fond of. We watch film, and Billy and I used to try to go fishing on Sundays, and that got squashed because we couldn't do that. We'd have to wait till later in the evening to go. So it was but he, like he said, he brought the college mentality to Pulaski County. So that's what made the difference back in those days.
What's your take on the evolution of place kicking now, as you see it in college and the NFL? And there's some amazingly strong legs. We have guys that are making some of the comments here. 60-yard field goals almost seem like an afterthought for some of you.
Right? It's amazing. The people that train. Think about. You have pitchers now that throw 100-mile-an-hour fastballs like it's nothing. Also, just the type of training they do. Football has a little bit to do with it too. I would highly recommend. For my 60th birthday, my wife asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, well, we went to Cooperstown a couple years ago. I said I want to go to the Hall of Fame up in Canton, and I want to tour the Wilson Football Factory in Ada, Ohio, which is in the middle of freaking nowhere. It'd be like running up to Snowball. It's in the middle of freaking nowhere. And the Hall of Fame was cool. I got to tell you, the Hall of Fame was cool. But the Football Factory in Ada, Ohio, it was unbelievable. Got to go in there and, watch them make the Wilson footballs. Now, I don't know, people may or may not know, the NFL now is not using the chain gang to gauge first downs. They're using this computerized stuff. And the footballs now, the bladder on the football has sensors all throughout the bladder. So that helps them when they're doing the stuff on TV. When you see the yellow line for first downs, they're using that. The bladder on the football has changed. The bladder used to be, back in our days, when the bladder was like a black rubber substance on the inside of the ball, whether it was a football or basketball.
Right.
Well, now the NFL has gone to a synthetic bladder, and there is no give in that bladder. You think about the bladder in a football; it's elastic. The bladders now is synthetic. It's clear, and they're doing some research now on that. That might be one of the reasons the football is going so far, because that the bladder has changed. So, and I didn't know that.
That makes sense. Yeah,
it was fascinating. But the guys, they train differently. Everything is so specific to what they do, and it's like anything. As time goes on, people get better at stuff. So and kickers are better. They're just better.
Well, before we let you go, you mentioned you're retired. Congratulations on that, man. So you're the good life now, right? What are you up to now? Working over tech, I know, games, but
I go to work all the tech games. I'm a big golfer, and I'm also a I work at a local golf shop a day or two a week, but I kind of run a business out of my house. I do basic golf repair, whether if you need shafts or grips, if you need your lie angle or the loft of your club adjusted, I can do all that. So, but if I'm not on the golf course, I'm going to try to be fishing somewhere. If I'm not fishing, I'll be out here running my dogs, playing with them. It's try to help the wife out. My daughter's a student out at Purdue University. She's going to be she's studying to be an airline pilot, so she's in what's called their professional flight program.
Oh, that's cool.
She's flying 3 and 4 days a week, and she's now an instructor, so she's actually teaching people to fly, which is even more scary. We went up a couple of weeks ago before she went back to school. We're up flying over Lake Anna, and she says, "Dad," she goes, "you want to do a steep turn?" I had no idea what she's talking about. I said, "Well, sure." And she does this freaking turn, and I'm on my side, and she straightened the thing up, and I said, "Don't do that again."
No more steep turns.
No more steep turns. So, but it's kind of, I try to go out there on if there's a weekend where we're not playing at home, we try to go out once every month and a half to see her out to Indiana. In Indiana, by the way, especially West Lafayette, it reminds me a lot of Blacksburg, except there's no mountains.
Right.
It's an ag engineering school. It reminds me a lot of Tech. It's just it's flat as a daggone pancake out there, man. Good grief. It's so flat. It's crazy. But there's some good smallmouth fishing out there too, by the way.
Okay, so you did it all way. Okay. Of course you did. Of course you did. Of course you did. Hey, Grantham sent a text. I don't know if I should read it on the air. I want me to tell you something. He wanted me to tell him I said he's a phrase. You might fill in the blank. F blank A blank.
Say it again.
Grantham said, be sure to tell Kinzer that he was a F blank A blank.
He's probably saying I was a fat ass kicker is what he was saying.
That's exactly what he said.
But he can't. Hey, he still can't fish as good as me. He's just jealous.
Well, listen, Chris, thanks so much, man. This has been a lot of fun. I was really looking forward to the conversation. I haven't talked to you in way too long. It's nice to know you're still so active with Tech football. And, man, no matter whenever there's a highlight reel about Tech football history, you were there on that cloudy day. They're showing that kick against it, right? You're there. You're forever linked, man. You won the first bowl game.
It's amazing. And I'm down your way probably besides football season. I'm down there more than people realize. My dad still lives in Dublin, and my mom lives down in Fairlawn. So when I'm in town, I always try to stop by. Dad likes to go to the dog house down in Radford to have breakfast.
Absolutely.
I can't get him to go anywhere else. We're going to the dog house. We're going to the dog house. I'm like, okay. Then I told him, I said, there's a dog house in Dublin. Why don't we go to the one in Dublin? Oh, they won't serve you there. You got to order and take it. He was down in Radford. He walks into the place in Radford. They think he's freaking royalty. They come running, and I'm like, good grief.
Well, listen, man, very cool. Let's do this again down the road. This was a lot of fun.
You give me anytime I can help you out, let me know. And let's hope them Cougars keep on keeping on. I know it's been kind of a rough time there here recently, and they got a good win the other night. And
they did.
And Northside's pretty good, by the way. So I mean, I know they got beat by Northside, but Northside's pretty good.
They are. They are good. A lot of teams in Roanoke's having a good year so far. It's early, but they have some good teams down there this year.
Right.
So maybe we'll have to get you and Grantham and the others on here together. That'd be a lot of fun. Get a bunch of the old.
Yeah. If you get me and Grantham on here, the system might crash.
Oh, it's going to happen, my friend. It's going to happen.
Oh my goodness.
Well, man, listen, I'm guessing you're going to be on the golf course today. Is that right? Is it too late?
I'm actually, I got some lilac bushes. I got to do some trimming here in a little bit. I'm going to go trim some lilacs. And I might get out there later this afternoon. But I'm trying to think. Am I going to play? I'm probably not going to play today.
Not today.
My wife's working from home today. So I'm sure she'll come down here in a little bit and ask me to do this, and this. I know I got to go to the store. So This retired stuff is rough, man.
I understand. Yeah, you got sounds like a lot of work, to be honest.
But I am going fishing later today. I can tell you that. I'm going fishing.
All right. Well, if you're either golfing or fishing, that's a good day. One or the other.
Yes, sir.
One or the other.
Absolutely.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, congrats to you again on the retirement and for everything, man. It's been great, and it's great to catch up, and my best to you and your fam, and we'll talk again very soon.
Rick, thank you very much for having me on, and go Cougars and go Hokies.
All right. Thanks, brother. Take care of yourself. Great stuff.
Too, man. Thank you.
Right, there you go. Chris Kinzer joining us on the program. How good was that, huh? That was awesome. That was fun. You could talk to Chris all day about the whole thing. Yeah, that was good. That was good. Very, very good. So thanks to Chris and thanks to Todd Grantham for chiming in there on our conversation. We want to thank our Family Fencing Studios, our sponsor of our studios, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. Go see them and check them out. They are awesome. All the materials you ever want to need, no mess. Go check them out because they are very, very good at what they do. And thanks to Jason Green and all those folks there. McClellan Chiropractic, Mark Hundley and the crew for sponsoring our in-studio chat room. They've got all the latest that you could ever want in technology and all those things. It's kind of awe-inspiring, to be perfectly honest to you. Each and every day we're presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Wait till we get into the Megaplex and everything else they're doing. I want to thank Jonathan Sweet and Tim Miller for their support. We're going to start talking to some of the people responsible for all the great things that they have headed our way in Pulaski County. Little River Heating and Air, Charles Lee, thank you so much for your support of the program. And one of the best locally owned businesses around at what they do. Took care of my issues in 2 days when I thought it was going to be just a very cold winter, and it wasn't at all. They're the best. Ryan Pry, the attorney in Radford, 701 West Main Street. Our BDST fan question of the week. Now that Tech is 0-2, what will their win total be? I have not seen one higher than 5. So we'll see what happens there. Also want to thank National Bank member FDIC, our exclusive banking partner here, also sponsors our Athlete of the Week and our high school football show. Very proud to have those folks part of what we do here, and thank you for your support. And then today we made the announcement, thanks to Travis Williams and his crew, Professional Door, 38 years in business, sponsor of our BDST text line now, and it is absolutely exploded since, well, the inevitable was starting to happen on the scoreboard Saturday night throughout the weekend. I mean, yeah, I get it. I understand. So thank you, Travis, and everybody up there at Professional Door for all of your support here on the program as their sponsorship debuted today. That was great. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, man. That was a lot of fun. Whole lot of fun with Chris Kinzer. Tomorrow, been texting back and forth here. Brian Steinspring is going to join us, the head football coach at Roanoke College. You know, we had him on before the season. They got a big win, and Jermaine mentioned it. That was special. That was very special, man, for him to get that dub. So we're going to have Steiny on tomorrow's program. David Smith not able to join us tomorrow. He's got meetings. David's a pretty important dude. So if he can't be here to talk about the NFL, he's got something going on. So no David Smith tomorrow. We'll have Marvin Miami, Mike Burnup. And, you know, Mike will shoot it to you straight, man, about what's going on. And we'll get his take. You don't want to miss that tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Of course, his appearance brought to you by Louise Baker. You want to make sure you get Mike Burnup's take because, again, Mike, you know, I know he's there to completely support the program, but Mike will tell you everything that he feels like is going on over there. So, yeah, that's tomorrow's program. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Full day on Tuesday. Wow. Here on the show. Thank you for your support. Again, please, everybody, we're now over 400 subscribers, but we need more. Obviously, our metrics look great with our views, our viewing hours, people going back and watching the shows. That's where most of the views, they're telling us about 65% of people are going back and watching later, and then they're watching for over 2 hours, which is awesome. Remind people that it's free to subscribe, and that's what we need people to do. I showed you the graphic earlier. And again, I'm pretty proud of it. We make a post on the BDST Facebook page. And what happens there? Well, it goes out and it ends up being, there you go, 45,000 interactions with a page that with a post we made on our page. So the show is getting out there. It's reaching people. If you're a potential sponsor and you want to go ahead and promote your business, then it's a great way to do it. But if I do say so myself, this whole format here has changed a lot of things in a good way. But please support us like you have. And thank you so much for those of you who have. Again, this is our show. This isn't my show. This is trying to make this thing work. We can make it work here from the New River Valley, Southwest Virginia, Southeast region as it becomes whatever it becomes. We deserve something like this, and you're great. Thank you so much for your support, everybody. It's great to see so many people jumping in the chat room. It's been great to see the professional door text line just absolutely go nuts. Go nuts. Yeah. Did you see that? Yeah, you get that much interaction, boy. Facebook, $4. Woo! So proud of that. But it's not about that. It's about the interaction. So we got to get that up here as well, because the potential revenue is a lot higher here. Facebook. But that's going to about do it for us here today. So again, special thanks to all of our wonderful guests, as is always the case here on the program, because the guests make this what is. They do. You and the guests. Has very little to do with the host. So thanks to Jermaine Ferrell for joining us, recapping some of the college football, high school football. Obviously, Mike Ashley for joining us today. We'll have Mike back on Friday in his usual slot now that he's got working, functional stuff again. And that was a lot of fun there with Chris Kinzer. Thanks to CK for joining us on the program. Forever etched in Virginia Tech football lore. That's pretty good, man. It's a pretty good legacy to have. That kick will always be shown whenever you're talking about Tech football. We've talked about Tech football. Good conversation. I think we had a pretty good synopsis, good breakdown. If you missed the show, no worries. It's there. You can go back and watch over and over again if you want. Fast forward to the parts you want. That's what I do a lot on YouTube. When I go back and if I miss it live, if there's a live show that I watch, I just go back and find it. It's easy. But please remind people to subscribe. They want us to hit 500. We're now under 100 to that goal. And let's show YouTube we can do this, man. Let's show my dude, my little showrunner guy, whatever you want to call him. Let's get it. Let's get it up there and show him. We'll break down more of the college football tonight. What do we have? We have Bears and Vikings to finish up week 1 of the NFL. I think that's the case tonight. And then we'll get into that as well tomorrow. But don't forget, tomorrow, Marvin, Miami. We'll have Brian Steinspring at 7:30, and then Mike Burnap at 8 o'clock to review what happened and talk about Old Dominion. Thank you so much. Thanks to our guests. And everybody have a great Monday. I hope your work week gets off to a good start, and I hope we made it a little bit better for you this morning. Thanks again for your support, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.